Well, hello, all you party people. You know, might as well have some fun while you're trading, right? I took a couple of trades today, actually, because I'm taking a break from recording videos. The reason being is we want to make sure that the videos that I'm recording are going to be compatible with the website, they're going to be the right size, yada, 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 all that stuff you don't think about when you're originally doing it, and then you're like, I'm X amount of videos in. I wonder if these are all going to be able to be seen. So we went ahead and took a break. So what I want to talk about here is the reason I exited this trade. The first one I took out because it slowed down right after that, and I really didn't need to exit this trade. I think it just slowed down, and I was a little bit nervous about this area right here that had been holding. And let me actually draw a line there so we can kind of take a peek-see at it. We were closing in. We hadn't really gotten far, and actually, it was a little bit of a late entry. I was having issues with my mouse, and I wasn't sure what was going on until this point when I realized that the batteries in my mouse had died. So, and I'll put some notes on this so you guys can see a little bit more. But yeah, here's where the resistance area it was pulling up to. By this point, my batteries had died, and I was out of the game for a little bit. So I actually walked away for a while because I was a little bit pissed off that my batteries had died. There were some other opportunities. Let me look at where I would have actually exited this trade. Probably right here. Let's see. Oh, move this just a little bit. Okay, I probably would have been looking to exit closer to about here when it slows down in the MACDs at this point. So possibly even right here. If you want to stay in the trade, well, your next spot that you can move the risk is going to be right behind here. You'd be 2 ticks behind this area, but you would wait until this point to move that risk, and then you can keep moving it up as it goes along there. It did continue up. If you exit due to divergences, your first exit would be right in... Ooh, that's a line. That is not what I thought it was. Your next exit would be right probably in this area with a little bit of a slowdown. Right here, as you can see, the MACDs are starting to slow down and turn and roll. There is the opportunity right here as well. Yeah, you could have taken an exit there. It's definitely a slowdown in this area. Also, how far we're pulling away from these Bollinger Bands, the snapback is going to be happening. You have a really good opportunity for it to push back down. Now, I was not here for any of this, or I just wasn't in the trading mode. I remember looking about right here thinking, man, this would be the perfect place to take the trade. The first thing I saw that kind of kept me from wanting to take it was being below the zero line. It's silly with that, but it's what kept me out of taking those trades. I keep clicking the button. Let's see. Pull back up here. And let me move this line along. I want to kind of look at where it does the MACD dip. Right in here. All right. Yes. This is where I first started thinking about it when it popped this top Bollinger Band. It slowed down. My next time I thought about it was right about here whenever it was pushing forward at that point. And you can see you're starting to pull away from the Bollinger Bands, which tells us that we're going to snap back to it. You still had some strength to the downside on your higher time frame. We'd actually broken that bottom Bollinger Band, which was another thing that said, maybe not just right now, but it did begin to slow down very, very quickly. So the early entries are way back here with the divergence, with the retracement divergence, with the inside roll. of the MACDs. The next opportunity, if you want to wait for a real clear, much clearer picture, is right about here. Whenever it pops that top Bollinger Band, whenever it pops through the 0 line, there's really good opportunity to know that this is going to push through with the distance of the Bollinger Bands. And you're really anticipating this to continue up. Even though the BBs overran the 0 line, those Bollinger Bands are still rolling above it. So we still had some anticipations of up. We were beginning to get a major slowdown on the 4181. And if you want to take it all the way over to the 10946, you're still outside of that top Bollinger Band. You're still outside of it. You're starting to break to the upside. The next spot where I said, ooh, maybe I should do this, and I just hesitated too long, was all right in here. BBs are outside of the Bollinger Bands with a lot of strength. You are really, really, really starting to see the opportunity to break through that top Bollinger Band on the 1597. The 4181 is shifting and rolling. The 10946 still says up. So when it gives these little pullbacks like we see right here with these closes down towards the bottom of the bars, but the BBs are blue to the upside and out, that's a really, really great continuation opportunity. Your first, maybe first exit would be about right here with the slowdown. That's your first official exit with the slowdown. You have a little bit more here reversal bars as the BBs are pushing down lower. But it kept going, right? It went for a while. Yeah, you rolled down to that bottom Bollinger Band and kept going up. You stayed outside. I don't think I would have stayed in for this whole ride. It was just way too slow inching its way up there, which makes me get nervous and bored and just don't want to play anymore at that point, you know? So it gets to the top, it turns around, it pulls back up and gives a nice little lower pivot reversal bar. And what does Lindsay do? Lindsay tries to take a long trade. I did chase this trade. The move is way back here. I was feeling like I was going to miss the move. I thought I had some divergence going on here. At that point, let's look at the higher time frames too. I just want to see, you know, I really firmly do believe you could make it through, you know, 90-95% of your trades as winners as long as you pay attention. Okay, so yeah, we were sitting on that bottom Bollinger Band here on the 4181. We were still up and outside on the 10946. Your 1597 had broken outside of the bottom Bollinger Band, but I was really looking at how weak these were and how easy it would be able to pop the top of them sitting on the 0 line. And at this point, you were just starting to roll inside. It made a reversal bar right here, and I went, whoa, well, let me give it just another minute or so. Because it made the first reversal bar here, we were still inside of the Bollinger Bands. When it made the next reversal bar, we had a lot more potential to break through that bottom Bollinger Band. It broke through on the next bar to that bottom Bollinger Band, and that's when I said, okay, I've had enough. I need to get out of this trade. And I believe I lost a point. Yeah, so the first ones, I was up 2.5 points. So then I lost 2 points. So that puts me at half of a point at that point. Half of a point at that point. There was an opportunity for a long here. I was actually thinking about taking it. I did not because we were still in the same situation with the BBs. And you had very limited space to travel back to the upside there. So I did not take it, you know, especially with breaking through that bottom Bollinger Band here and breaking through the 0 line and the strength really just picking up to the downside, not just there, but here. The strength to the downside was just extreme at that point, and I could not allow myself to go ahead and take it. So my mind was stuck in the longs back here. When I got to this point, I did miss this short. That tiny, tiny little bar is one of my favorites for a short, and I missed it because you can see the pullback. We're going to look at the way the MACDs behaved. Then they gave that perfect little pullback inside of the Bollinger Bands. And guess what? Still outside right here, showing strength, continuation. And we were breaking inside of the Bollinger Bands on the 10-9-46. Now, so what happens next is it gives another opportunity to enter. I did have to chase it at this point. Guys, when I chase a trade, I still make sure that my stop is going to be in a legitimate spot. My stop was 2 ticks behind this bar, which was the next pullback. It's hard, you can't really see it that well, but it's something that I look at very, very, a lot. It pulls back with this little bar, and when that happens, the BB just kind of pulls back, just barely, barely, barely. The next bar pushes down pretty hard. I couldn't get in for another. I had it right about, where did I have it? Because I couldn't do it with this bar. It was the next bar that I was attempting. And I had my entry right about here. It did not pick me up. It did not grab me. So I did chase it, which put my wrist, look at this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My wrist was right above here, okay, which is exactly where it needed to be. I'll just draw a little line there so we can take that blue bar off of there. As this pushed down, I took my first exit at 2 points. I just went ahead. I was thinking about holding on longer. It did not take me out on the first one, but I went ahead and let it take me on the next one. So I took that out at 2 points, and I let the next one run a little bit. But I didn't want it to run too far because we had the larger EMA on the 1597, which is the small EMA on the 4181 there. And I will exit on those even if I don't have a slowdown yet, because a lot of times it tends to hold. I exited with this reversal bar for another 2.5 points. Could I have held on longer? Absolutely. I noticed that I was exiting right as it crossed over below the Bollinger Bands, which we still had a lot of strength to the downside at that point. It pulls up and gave you another area. And I did move my risk back here. I actually moved it to a break even once it took me out here. So I had my risk at a break even at that point once it took me out. And then I was right behind this area. As this pushed down a little bit further, I was managing my risk just a little bit more and pulling it in tighter and tighter. We can see that the reversal bar here finally did its job and pushed it back up towards the EMAs, where I do believe this is now going to attempt to push back up, because you can see we've got this pull down. It's a retracement divergence inside of the Bollinger Bands, which says that we can get a nice push up. It would have been back here when you have this retracement divergence here. We would need to cross this top Bollinger Band and start to show the strength to push up towards this 0 line and possibly back through. You do have BBs outside of the Bollinger Band here, but they do look like they're attempting to curve a little. And look how high this Bollinger Band is. It's going to take a lot of work to get back up and cross over that. So this may hang out for a while. But I would anticipate this to push back up. It's probably going to jerk us around for a bit in between these Bollinger Bands like it does here. It's probably going to jerk us around a little bit like when it gets inside. So we need to, or, even back here. This is what I mean by jerk us around a little bit. It's going to do some stuff like this before it continues in that direction. That's something typical that we see happen. So, 3 trades today with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 exits for a total of 5 points. I may take some more before the end of the day because we've got 2 hours and I don't have a lot to do. So we shall see. Well, the dogs went a little haywire, so I had to step away for a moment because of the new lawn dudes that they wanted to eat their face. But it's doing exactly what I anticipated right now, to give that push back up in between the areas. So from back here, the long could still be in play if you didn't exit once it got up into the areas. Got a lot of strength coming back up. This does not look like it's going to have the opportunity to... Well, my anticipations were correct for a few minutes. Just in between here, and then it pulled back a couple times, gave a perfect tiny little pullback to push down. I was not sitting in front of my desk at that time, or I'm not sitting in front of my desk at all because I'm sitting on my bed. I decided to work out of my room today. I do want to say when I took this initial short, and I wish I would have recorded it, I did move my second target for fun all the way down to this EMA. All the way down here. I don't really like to stomach pullbacks, and when we get into areas like this, it tells us that we have a good opportunity for a pullback. It would have taken me back to, would it have been a break even? I wonder. I think so. I think it would have pulled me back and taken me out because I had it at a break even. Oh yeah, it went further than break even, just by a hair. And then took off to the downside. So I would have been taken out had I just stayed in it and let it roll. But yeah, this was right where I was looking for it to go. And so, yeah, you know, it's fun to look at that and go, okay, well, I knew exactly where it was going in the long run, but also know that I would have never in, well, I don't know, I say never in a million years, but I used to just hold for a point as well. And so I hold a lot longer than that on a lot of trades. So this is definitely a place where I would have struggled with the thought of holding on, and instead of holding on like that, I just like to exit and look for a re-entry. Some people don't mind the big pullback. I hate it with a passion. Now, I love the opportunity for this to cross over. You know, we do have pulling right back into that EMA, so I don't know how long, you know, the longevity of it to be able to continue down if it pulls back into this crossover. Yeah. I mean, it would be lovely for it to pull down and get back into the area here, or even finally shift the momentum to the downside. But I'm going to take just a quick peek at the daily chart. Alright, still moving up. Look at that. Look how far that BB is pulling away. There's still a lot of ticks left in the day, but that BB is pulling pretty far away to say that even though we have the immediate momentum to the downside, we still have a little bit more up to do. There was the tiny little pullback right there. Never would have been in on that. Not in a million years. No, it's just too far away. It's too far away from an area where I'm anticipating it to pull back. So I'm in anticipations of it pulling back at least somewhere in here. Maybe it's going to do the crossover and never pull back. Like I say, I don't know. I'm not a fortune teller. I don't know what the future holds. All I know is what I can read right here and right now, and what it's telling me to do in the present time. So I hope y'all have a fabulous day. I may get a little trading in tomorrow, as I won't hear from my person till later on tonight or maybe tomorrow. I have a couple of appointments tomorrow, so we'll see how I feel first thing in the morning, whether or not I choose to take some trades or just to carry on. So I hope everybody has a fabulous rest of their day. There's about an hour left in the market. I'm not going to deal with it anymore. I may even go take a nap, you know. So have a wonderful day, everyone, and I'll catch y'all on the flip side.